we're just going to pretend that I did my usual hair flick because my hair's up at the minute, so... Welcome back, or welcome. If you're new, my name is Ailey and you are watching Makeup, Mystery and True Crime Tuesdays. So in today's video we're going to be talking about aliens. Now I know a lot of people are skeptic about aliens, but to be honest, the way that this year is going, it wouldn't be a crazy thing. I personally believe in aliens. I don't know what kind of alien I believe in, but we cannot be the only people in this whole universe. It's just not, it's not possible. So I thought it would only be appropriate to wear my alien t-shirt. He's holding a little cat. So my makeup, I'm probably going to try and match this sort of tie-dye. Not too complicated because I can't talk and do complicated highlights at the same time. But anyway, let's just get into the video. Today we are specifically going to talk about Betty and Barney Hill, their abduction, and they actually have a book about their whole experience, which I only managed to listen to a little bit of it on Audible, but it is on eBay and Amazon. If you do want to purchase it, I will have the link down below if you're interested. If not, then you could just research this on the internet. It's not really that hard to find. This story was not actually the first ever abduction. It is believed to be the first one that was widely talked about, like everywhere. This is what happened on September the 19th of 1961. So Betty and Barney had really little free time that they got to spend together, and because they were working very long hours, and then out with that they spent all their free time in church, and they actually took part in a lot of activities to help with the civil rights movement, which was a fight for the rights of African Americans to have equality in the 1950s and 60s, which I highly suggest, if you don't know a lot about that, please go and do some research. I think it's something that we should all know about, and especially with not only what's been happening at the minute, but what has happened for far too long, to be perfectly honest. So please go and do that if you don't know much about what's really happening in this world. Because they didn't have a lot of free time, they decided to take a last minute road trip, which would actually be their late honeymoon, as they'd been married for 16 months, but they were so busy that they never got the chance to go on one. So the trip was to go through Montreal to Niagara Falls, and they were going to drive. I'm not going to talk about the trip because everything that happened was on the way home, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Like I said, the drive home were where things happened. They left about 10 PM after getting something to eat and coffee in a diner, so that they would be able to travel like the whole way through the night without having to stop, so they could just quickly make it home, which would roughly get them home between 2 and 3 AM if they didn't make any stops. Now, while travelling through the White Mountains of New Hampshire, they both spotted a bright light in the sky. At first glance they thought it was maybe a falling star, but when they got closer they realised that it wasn't that. Barney assured Betty that everything was going to be alright, and it was probably just a satellite or an airplane or something like that. They didn't, at this point they didn't know what it was. Barney decided to walk away from the car and get out his binoculars for a closer look, just because, well, it was obviously something that they had never seen before. And when he discovered that it wasn't a falling star, it wasn't a satellite or an aircraft, it was like an odd looking flying vehicle. It was reported that it was completely silent, meaning it couldn't be a helicopter, plane or military jet. And I've noticed that a lot of these alien abduction stories, it's always reported that it's really, really quiet, like there's no noise, which makes it very strange. So when Barney went to go have a look himself, Betty stayed back at the car. When he got a closer look, he reported that there was large windows in a saucer-looking hovercraft, and he even said that there were beings looking back at him. Barney ended up running back to the car, which I could tell you that is exactly what I would be doing. To be honest, I don't even know if I would go for a closer look. But anyway, he ran back to the car and they both sped off. But they never kept their eyes off this spacecraft thing. The whole way home, they just like kept looking at it just to see why it was there, but apparently it was like moving in really weird directions really quickly, so it basically wasn't like anything that they had seen before. Now, when they finally got home, they were extremely confused because the journey had taken a lot longer than it was meant to, and they didn't know where the lost timers went. So, like other abduction stories, there's a lot of missing time that people just can't remember what's happened, but it's like hours later. So after getting home, they got dressed and then they discovered that there was scratches on their bodies and damage to their clothing, and they didn't know what happened to them. They had no recollection of where they got these marks, how their clothing could be damaged. Like, all they were doing was driving home from a trip. This didn't make any sense. Betty eventually started to suffer with really bad nightmares, and Barney started to suffer with really bad anxiety about the whole thing, which is quite understandable. So after feeling like this and still not knowing, like no memories had came back of what happened, they knew that something wasn't right. So they decided to go to UFO investigators first. They wanted to take it straight to the press. So they didn't want this story to go to the press, they just wanted to keep it to themselves. They didn't want any money or anything for the story. This ended up making them even more anxious because they felt like they couldn't get any help without someone wanting to publish their story. And that is when they discovered Dr. Benjamin Simon. Now, Dr. Simon was a psychiatrist and neurologist, and he actually knew how to do hypnosis. And I don't know how everyone else feels about hypnosis, but I believe in it. I don't see why. I mean, I've never personally seen it in real life myself, but I do believe in it, I do. After working with the couple for a while, he started to gather information about what actually happened that night, and they started to get some answers. While they were under hypnosis, this was what they managed to discover from the trip. Barney ran back to the car that night. The spacecraft forced them to stop. Barney also said that he tried to take out a gun, but he heard a voice telling him to put the gun down, and he couldn't control himself. After that, the couple was abducted and taken onto the ship by small grey men, or grey beings. And I know what you're all thinking. My first thought went to Roger off American Dad. If you haven't seen it, then you won't know what I'm talking about, but I'll put up a photo. That's the alien off American Dad. When they were inside, they did get examined. The examination started. They remember walking into an examination room with curved walls, a big light on the ceiling, and they were asked to lie down onto metal tables. They remembered the tables were so small that Barney's legs dangled off the side of them. The beings took samples of hair, nail clippings, and even scraped some skin off, which would explain the scratches and abrasions that they found on themselves when they got back to the house. The samples were put onto a clear material, like kind of like a, I don't know what they're called, they're the magnifying glasses that they put cells onto that they could see things closer. They attached 2 long wires to needles and they probed their heads, arms, legs and their spines. And the needles were about 4 to 6 inches long, and they actually inserted the needle into Betty's stomach, which makes me cringe. One of the beings, called the leader, didn't take part in any of this. He just watched from the side, like they're doing a little exam and he's just taking notes from the side, making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. The beings were weirdly excited that Barney's teeth was able to come out, and Betty said that she just laughed and explained that Barney had dentures, and explained that when you get older that's kind of what happened. I kind of would have thought that aliens would have known that, but I mean, you never know. That's maybe what they've been doing this whole time when they abduct people, like just want to be finding out the latest information. This was a long time ago, so they're probably, to be honest now, they're probably a lot smarter than we are. Let's be serious. I just jabbed my mascara straight into my eye. I'm such an idiot. Under hypnosis, Betty was able to redraw the star map that the leader had shown her, and in the late 1960s a teacher called Marjorie Fish tried to see if she could find a match between the star map and the real stars to see if she was telling the truth. After a lot of studying, she actually studied for nearly 5 years, it is said, to try and find, I mean, if you think about how many stars there are, then it's obviously going to take a very long time. And she apparently finally found a match. She made 3-dimensional structures out of wire and beads, and that's how she managed to find out that there was a match and find out where the aliens came from. And I'm not going to say the words because we all know that I can't pronounce anything, so I'm just going to put it on the screen and you can read it for yourself and try and pronounce it, because I'm just not even going to bother. So unfortunately that is the end of the video. I realise it was really short, but I'm sure there's more information that you can research yourself, and like I said, you can purchase the book if you want more information. I purchased the book on Audible, but you can get it on eBay and Amazon, I'm sure. I'll have the links down below if you want to purchase it, and we're just going to ignore this. Great. A lot of sources that I found were actually skeptics trying to pick apart the story and like debunk all of it. I didn't want to put that information here because I wanted to just tell you the story and then you make your own decision whether you believe it or not. I wanted to let you make your own opinions. As for my opinion, it could be true. I mean, who knows? Oh God. I mean, we weren't there. We don't know. Why would they lie? But then a lot of people have lied about alien stories, so I've just realised I forgot to put some brow gel on. I mean, it's a bit late, but we'll just do that now. The fact that they never actually wanted to make their story public and they were really anxious about what happened, I feel like this could be a credible story, and who really knows what's out there, what goes on in the world, what doesn't go on in the world. And this universe is huge, so there is no way we will be able to know everything. and I feel like it could be true. I don't know. Please comment down below what your thoughts are. Please let me know if you like this kind of video. I will go back to doing true crime, but I just wanted to switch it up a little bit, especially because I watched the Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. Let me know if you've watched that, because there's an alien story on that which I thought was really weird, and those Unsolved Mysteries as well. We'll have a conversation about it. Please let me know if you've watched it. I was thinking about maybe doing like mythical creatures as well, so let me know if you're interested in that, like the Mothman and things like that. I could do that research. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you have not yet, and I will see you in my next video.